Hi everybody, I'm back down in the pantry and today I want to jar up some homemade stew for pressure canning. And one of the reasons why I'm going to do it is some of our potatoes, not all, they're doing fantastic. This is the longest I've ever been able to store potatoes, even the red potatoes, which aren't normally good potatoes to store, but some of them are just starting to get a little bit soft. So I'm going to go through them and pick out the ones that are just starting. And I have a whole bunch of stew meat in the freezer. So that'll be good to give me some freezer space. And my carrots that we harvested at the end of July, look at these. That's a funny looking one, but they're still hard. They're crispy. They're fantastic. I don't really want to use them up because we're enjoying them. And there's not many left after this, but I'm going to get several meals out of doing this. So I'm just going to go through these potatoes. I just can't believe, some of them have eyes on them, but I can't believe how well they're doing. It's mainly Yukon Gold. I know there's a few Kennebec in here. And what were these ones called? Chieftain Red. I think these were Chieftain Red. So I'm going to go in here and pick the ones that I know are just, it's a tough competition because they're all quite firm. But I'll bring you in closer to see them. And I'll fill up my basket here. And then we're going to go upstairs and do some dry canning, pressure canning. See them? They're just doing amazing. It's like almost the end of January, and I've never had potatoes last this well. And half of these are from that experiment garden I did. Oops, my mountain of jars is starting to fall over. They all have to be put away. Hi everyone, I'm back upstairs and I forgot to welcome you. So welcome to just the two of us. My name is Colleen. And first of all, I'm sorry if there's any background noise, but I'm not really sorry because Frank is slowly bringing in a bunch of boxes that were delivered today because my new kitchen arrived. I'm so excited. So all the kitchen arrived today, and I don't even know what the date is, but in less than a week, the floor is going to be installed. And then a few days after that, the kitchen is being installed. So when they delivered it, they just left it all outside on a pallet, and he's slowly bringing it in the house. So he's going to be back and forth. And I don't care how much noise he makes. I'm just so happy that the kitchen is here. So I'm going to get going ahead with this, because probably by next week, I'm not going to have this island here. I'm not going to have anything to work on. So I don't know what we're going to be doing. So this is another reason why I'm doing this stew. I do have a few meal in the jars downstairs. We're going to have to be using quite a few of those. So I'm going to start with the potatoes because I'm going to peel them. And I want them soaking in the water a little bit while I prepare everything else, just to get like any extra, but the starch off them while I prepare other things. So the majority of the ones I did bring up were the Chieftain Reds. And they're just slightly soft. They're like almost perfectly fine, but I'll use them first. I think I even brought up more than I need. If I can fill 7 jars, I'm lucky. I only took out 4 packages. I think it was 4. It's in the fridge. 4 packages of stew beef. I have more in the freezer, but that's all I took out because I wasn't sure how many carrots I still had left. So I'm going to do the potatoes. let them soak, and then I'll start like cutting up carrots. And I don't know if I've added onion before, but I'll probably like add maybe just a bit. But this is one of our favorite meal in the jars to have. The meat turns out so tender. So I just cut them like in like little, I don't know, inch and a half-ish pieces. Not too big because I like to get like a bunch in the jar, and I try and keep them all the same size because I want them all to cook at the same rate as well. So I'll do as many as I think I need. And if I happen to cut up too many, that's okay, because then I can just can the rest as potatoes, or we can just cook them up and do like a mashed potato or cook them for breakfast tomorrow or whatever. So I'll finish up the potatoes and then we'll move on to the carrots. I had to put on my apron. I was getting wet and stained. So now we're going to do the carrots. And they're still just beautiful. Unfortunately, I have to peel them. We gave them all a really good wash when we harvested them, but now they've been sitting in the fridge for months. So instead of scrubbing them, it's just as easy to peel them. And the potato peels have to go into the compost, but the carrots will go to the chickens. And I just love these ones. I didn't even know I planted them last year. I thought I was just planting, I mean, they're still orange on the inside, but, and the skin is much like thicker. I just always cut them in like circles. But as I get down to the bottom, I cut them a bit thicker because I don't want these guys too thin, or they'll cook much faster than the bigger ones. And even these guys I might cut in half, because if they take up too much room in the jar, I'll show you later, but if they take up too much room in the jar, I can't get as much in the jar. I think I'm just gonna cut up one onion. I usually don't put it in there, but Frank likes it. And we'll just add a little bit more flavor to it. Not that it really needs it, but I'll just put a little bit in each jar. I don't even know if I'll use the whole thing. I'll see. Because if I cook a regular stew, like I usually make one in the crock pot, I would put an onion in there as well. All right, on to the meat. I normally don't use a lot of paper towels, but this is going to be a bloody situation. So this is what our stew cubes come like. I think they are about 2 pounds per package. So I took some out in the bowl here, but they're too big for what I want to do. Some of them are smaller. So most of them I'm gonna like cut in half. And I have my spray cleanser too, if some of them I could even cut closer. It's beautiful meat. I think I have more than I thought I would. I might have to actually cut more vegetables. It seems to me the last time I did this, I had to take out more stew, but maybe not. It's deceiving. Once you put it in the jars seem to swallow it up. Which I'm going to go get now and start filling them as I'm cutting it. So as I'm cutting the meat, I'm going to start filling in the jars. Now I'm raw packing this stew, which means all the ingredients that are going into the jar are uncooked. My meat is uncooked, the carrots, the potatoes, and the onion. But what I'm also doing is dry canning. I'm not adding any liquid to this. It'll make its own bit of juice while it's cooking. Now I want to say this very clear. This is not an approved method of canning. This is my kitchen, my rules. Many people do this. I dry can my potatoes, I dry can my carrots. This is what I choose to do. And to me, it's safe for my kitchen. But you do your own research. You do what you want to do in your kitchen. This is how I like to can our stew, by dry canning it. When I put the meat in and the potatoes, nothing gets mushy. It makes its own little bit of juice, and that's the way we like it. So I'm raw packing by nothing being cooked, but I'm dry canning. So this is how I like to do it. You do it your way. So let's get started. So I took out 7 jars because that's how many my canner can hold of the gallon jars. And I choose to do wide mouth today because I have a lot of wide mouth lids and I'm running low on regular mouth lids. But no, see, I think every time I think it's going to be more, because that's not even a lot of meat, I think I'll be okay. So I'm just going to cut up some more and fill as I go. So I like to put the meat at the bottom. Then I'll put a bit of the onion, the carrots, and the potatoes. I did try once, like mixing everything together in a big bowl and then putting it in the jar. But then I found you didn't get a good proportion. Like some jars had more meat, some had more potatoes. This way I can control better how much is going into each jar. So I'll finish filling up the meat part and then I'll bring you back when I add all the vegetables to it. Okay, I just went on for 5 minutes and the camera wasn't on. Anyway, I was saying that when I removed all the meat stuff, I sterilized all my work area. I used my disinfecting cleanser. I removed everything that was here. I cleaned everywhere. I washed my lids. They're soaking in warm water. And when I took out the box to get my wide mouth rings, because I'm doing it in the wide mouth jars, I found, not there, where did I put them? I found a whole bunch of regular mouth lids. So I could have done these in regular mouth because I don't think 7 wide mouth jars are going to fit in the canner. I know 7 regular mouth do. So I had put the regular mouth in with the wide mouth. But I'm not going to empty these and wash 7 jars or whatever. If I have to run the canner twice, I will. So I don't remember putting the regular mouth jars in there. Anyway, so I filled 2 jars without you guys watching. So I'll do one more from here and then I'll bring you close. So those 4 packages of meat perfectly divided beautifully among these 7 jars. And I'm just putting a little bit of onion in each one, not a lot, just a bit. And some carrots. I don't know if I did enough or not. And then potatoes. And I can squish these pretty good because as it cooks, all the vegetables and the meat are going to shrink. And I don't have to debubble because there's no liquid that has to be let out. So there's another one. I'll bring you in close and we'll do one more together. So a little bit of onion. And what I'm also not adding is like any salt and pepper because I have no liquid to absorb it. It would all like stick to one place. So what I'll do is when I warm these up, I'll season it then. I can push these down. Probably put in more meat than I usually do because I'm used to seeing more vegetables, but anyway. So now I just have 3 left to fill and then we can get them in the canner. Okay, all 7 are filled. I'm going to take one and put it there. And it's time to put the lids and rings on. I'm still going to use vinegar to clean my lids. Maybe take this guy out. Put the band on fingertip tight. So I'm going to do this to all 7. And I'll probably have to run the canner twice, or I may set up my other canner and run the 2 together and just divide the jars into 2. We'll see. They fit. My old canner didn't fit 7 wide mouth, but this one does. So that's a huge win. So now the lid goes on. My water is room temperature. My jars are room temperature. So now I'm going to turn my burner on. And when this spouts steady stream for 10 minutes, I'll set my timer, for 10 minutes then, and I'll bring you back. It's hard for you to see, but I have a steady stream of steam. So now I can set my timer for 10 minutes, and then I'll put on my weight, and then we get this guy up to 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Now I put the weight on, and when this comes up to pressure for my elevation, it's 10 pounds or just over. I'll adjust my heat and keep it at just over 10 pounds. Because I'm doing quartz, it's 90 minutes. Okay, I'm just over 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm slowly going to reduce my heat so I can get and keep it just over the 10 pounds. And I'm going to set my timer for 90 minutes. And then when it's done, I'll bring you back. Time's up. Now I'm just going to let it sit here for quite a while until the little doohickey goes back down and the canner cools off. Excuse me. Then I'll take off the weight, wait a little while longer, then I'll loosen the lid. Seven beautiful jars of stew. And see how everything shrunk? And there's actually this much liquid in it now that the vegetables and the meat made on their own. And that's it. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And until we're together again, take care.